Well, hello once again. I don't know about you, but it's a good day to be back on the battlefield. Yes, we're back on the battlefield against ignorance, poverty, and self-destruction. Before we send rounds downrange today against ignorance, why don't you go ahead and hit that like button? And while you're at it, why don't you go ahead and subscribe and hit that notification bell? That way you'll be notified every time we enter the battlefield. Let's go ahead and look at a few concepts for today's battle. Ignorance. Ignorance can appear in three different types. Factual ignorance, which is the absence of knowledge of some fact. Object ignorance, which is the unacquaintance with some object. And technical ignorance, the absence of knowledge of how to do something. Next, let's move on to accountability. Accountability can basically be defined as an obligation or willingness to accept responsibility for or account for one's actions. Pretty strong. Next, let's look at acceptance. Acceptance involves acknowledging the unvarnished facts of ourselves and our situation, the good and the not so good, without judging ourselves. Now, taking all these things into account, it's time to destroy that ignorant belief that everything that has gone wrong in your life is someone else's fault. Too often, broke, unproductive men blame not growing up with a father in their house as the reason for their failures. If it's not that, they love to blame the system. Yes, the system. They skip over the fact that they may have chosen to drop out of high school, or they may have chosen not to learn a usable skill or trade, or they may have chosen to commit criminal acts which made them undesirable for gainful employment. Now, women, I didn't forget about you. Too often, lonely, overworked, stressed, and depressed women find it easy to blame men for their situation. They skip over the fact that they didn't understand the concept of balance until they were too far down the road. Although it takes a lot of hard work, balancing career aspirations and relationship aspirations isn't a new concept. Neither is it impossible. The truth is, too many women have chosen to make it an impossible concept. Now, I know you heard me speak that word chosen quite a few times in today's battle. There are those women, and yes, I'm still on women, who refuse to accept that it's 2024 and not 1964. Whether due to the influence of social media or whatever, the days of highly successful men marrying women who already have children by other men is a concept that is long gone and probably won't ever return. There is one exception to this concept. That exception is successful women whose children are adults and have long gone from their homes. The sad truth is, 90% of all women want only the top 10% of all men. You don't need to be an expert in real analysis or complex analysis to know that that would never add up. Whether you're a man or woman, there's one common denominator in every failing aspect of your life, and that simply is you. Yes, you. I've heard people say, if it's God's will. That too is an excuse and an attempt to blame their failure on something other than themselves. The truth is, God gave us all free will and the ability to succeed. The fact that so many people have chosen to do things the wrong way, and now they are suffering their consequences. The consequences of their action is not God's fault. If you truly want to change your situation, you must truly change who you are. If you think you don't need to change, then stay that way, but make sure you accept your situation. It is what it is. Now, the gentleman we're looking at, he was once a slave and he chose to change his situation. He went on to become one of the greatest U.S. Marshals in the history of the United States. And guess what? He was never lynched. He was never killed because of the color of his skin. He changed his situation and he succeeded in life. Well, I see that you're still on the run. Let me go ahead and see if I can hurry up and get this over with. Shouldn't be much longer now.